All right, I'm going to jump into this really quick because it's going to be somewhat of a shorter stream. But in the description of this live stream, I actually have a video linked from Raging Golden Eagle. It's from a few months ago, but it's something I want to fucking talk on because the thing is they're still not fucking getting it. So, the reason why I've titled this video what I have. Hey, Joey, how's it going? But the reason why I titled this stream the title that I titled it is because it just stands true nowadays. You can sit there and you can explain every reason why you're not interested in a relationship, or why you're kind of leery of women, or you're leery of relationships, period, end of story, why you're going your own way. You can explain it down to the, hey, how's it going, Jeff? You can explain it down to the finest fucking detail. You can give them examples of why you're not why you're not interested in these things, and they will still sit there and ask, well, what went wrong? Really? You're gonna ask what went wrong after someone sat there and said that they've watched male figures in their lives get fucked over by the system, whether it be through divorce or false claims or whatever, whatnot. So let's go ahead and break this down. If you were to sit there and ask a feminist why they don't like men, they'll sit there and they'll say, oh, well, my past experiences, or I've had girlfriends in the past that have had this happen to them or that happen to them. And you're supposed to just fucking take them at their fucking word. Right? But if you sit there and you hear a guy having to explain his position, why he's going MGTOW, and I hate making a comparison between feminism and MGTOW, but the thing is at this point, there's an equivalence that can be drawn in this one regard. But if you ask a guy why he's going MGTOW, which, contrary to popular belief, does not just mean flat out woman hating, it just means being leery. You know, like, yeah, I'm gonna keep an eye on you, right? They can sit there and give you example after example after example, link you to article after article after article. And you are going to be much less charitable to them. You're going to sit there and have that knee-jerk reaction of, well, that's just a few situations. That doesn't mean it's going to happen to you. Not all women are like that. Yet, if you hear someone sit there and say, not all men are like that, when a feminist is going off on one of her fucking tirades, all of a sudden, the other feminist harpies swarm in and just fucking go after you. There are some MGTOW communities that will fucking do that. Don't get me wrong. But the vast majority of MGTOWs will sit there and just point and laugh at the person. Go, you're literally denying fact. You're denying fucking reality. But no. That is becoming normal in today's society. Let's see what's going on in the chat here. Okay, two of my subs are having their own little side conversation. Fair enough. Anywho, it has become so common nowadays to... Oh, that got a hater in here. Anywho, it's become so commonplace nowadays that that people will sit there and deny facts that are inconvenient to them, and then push forward questionable information that can't really be proven in any way, shape, or form, in no real definitive way, or they'll sit there and take a one-off thing that really hasn't happened before And so what happens? They go ahead and say, oh, well, this is representative of everything. When they sit there and then if you bring up facts where it's all like, no, this has been shown to happen over and over and over again, it's a repeating pattern, it's consistent, they'll sit there and say, oh, well, that's just a conspiracy theory. Like, I've actually had women that have been stupid enough to think that they don't have the upper hand when it comes to divorce. I am not joking. They've actually thought that the man had the upper hand. The fact of the matter is, though, when you look at the statistics, when you look at the history of divorce, men haven't exactly had the upper hand for quite a while now. Like, there was one point in the past where, yeah, the guy got the upper hand way back in the past. That was called fault divorce. But here's the thing. You know, women love to bring up that, oh, if the woman was thought to be barren, then he could divorce her. Yeah, well, guess what? If the guy became impotent, she could divorce him. That is called a true equivalency, bitch. Yeah, I have to agree with you, Joey. A lot of people are fucking zombies. Oh yeah, Jeff. Well, when you try to explain MGTOW, a lot of people give you a blank stare because the thing is their brains aren't programmed for actual truth. I mean, go ahead and just take a look at school systems, and that actually is going to go ahead and spur me forward into a point that I was going to cover on a little bit later on after this little rant. But I'll just go ahead and go straight into it here. So, education system. What are we taught in school? Boys don't hit girls. They're now teaching. Yeah, I'm talking about public school education. I'm not talking about private school education. Private school education can actually afford to teach you the truth because they're not suckling on the government's fat cock. But the thing is we're also taught that girls are the quote unquote fairer sex. Now, you can go ahead and some people are actually so stupid that when they hear fairer sex, they think that it means fairer as in more equal, as in more understanding, more level-headed. That is not the truth. In fact, it is the farthest thing from the truth. Because when you think of level-headedness, staying calm and cool under pressure, you're probably not thinking of something that has tits and a pussy. You're probably something that has testicles at that point. Probably. I mean, stereotypically, when it comes down to a dangerous, horrendous situation, guys tend to be the ones to stay more calm. They tend to analyze the situation and react accordingly. Whereas women, they tend to respond more off of an emotional thing. And in certain situations, both are useful. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes you need more of an emotional response. Sometimes you need more of a logical response. It depends on the situation. But when people think that fairer sex means more level-headed and so on and so forth, that's when you can tell that they definitely came from the public education system. And me, myself, I have come from the public education system. I'm not saying that I went to a private school because I didn't. I went through public education. But the thing is I actually had some teachers that had the balls to teach truth. But I also happened to have a lot more male teachers than your average bear. In fact, as far as my school experience is concerned, male teacher versus female teacher is almost a completely even split with me. But that's where I live, because we don't sit there and go, oh, well, women naturally make better teachers. No. We focus on where your skills are. The thing is my female teachers tended to be in, English classes, social classes, things like that, whereas my male teachers tended to be, math classes and all of that. It kind of makes sense. The one female math teacher that I had literally weighed homework at 80% of your grade. So that means you could pass the class failing every test, including the final. You could get an absolute zero on them. Get an absolute fucking zero. But as long as you did your homework like a good little fucking slave, you fucking passed. And who's to say that you weren't cheating on that? She didn't care about you learning. She cared about you doing what she said. So, I absolutely hate classes where they weigh homework heavily. Because the thing is homework is just doing the same thing over and over and over and over again outside of school. It's them being able to tell you what to do on your free time. On that free time where you're meant to be able to relax, to be able to let your brain rest. All right? But they can't let your brain rest, because then you start having your own thoughts. When you start having your own thoughts, then you become dangerous to the ideology. See where this is coming from? See, I think it's kind of funny that if you look at the most, let's say, cultish ideologies in the world, you've got feminism, you've got just social justice in general, you've got Islam, all of these different ideologies that are exceedingly impressive. Hell, even Catholicism. All right? If you look at all of those ideologies and compare them, what is one thing that they constantly have you thinking about? Quote unquote, sins. They have you thinking about what everyone else is doing wrong, what you're doing wrong, how you can go ahead and bitch at them and guilt them into feeling bad about themselves. Islam takes it to a whole new extreme and has it mandated that you have to pray several times a day, or for some odd reason, you're the most horrible person on the fucking planet. You are worse than literally Hitler. What a way to keep someone's mind from being able to actually have a basic cognitive thought than to completely envelop it in constant fucking activity that is mandated by you. So here we go. We're in public education. What is one thing they constantly do? They constantly assign you homework. And now they're just dropping the fucking pretense. Now we've seen instances of them assigning homework that's literally meant to brainwash, that is literally pushing their fucking agenda. And I'm not talking about against college students that can actually resist that shit. Oh, no. Not them. No, they're going after grade schoolers. Who's MA? For anyone who's watching after the fact and just watching after this uploads to YouTube, Jeff said MA is a drunken bitch, and I'm curious as to who MA is. Oh, Joey, critical thinking skills are not only not encouraged, but they are squashed. Anytime you show any ability to critically think, up to the fucking principal's office for insubordination. I love insubordination. If my kid gets sent up to the principal's office for insubordination, I'm going to ask what the insubordination was. Because nowadays, you never fucking know. It might have been that they were actually sitting there and, just, calling the teacher a worthless fucking cunt, which might be fucking true. It depends. But they might be doing it just to disrupt class, just to be an asshole. Okay, fair enough. And I can see my kid doing it because it's my kid. But I haven't had, Jeff, I haven't had too many issues with misanthropic, to be honest. But anywho, the thing is on the flip side of the coin, like I ended up getting sent up for insubordination once in high school. Why? Because a teacher made a very big claim, and I'm like, where's your proof of that? They're like, well, I just know. Well, well, I don't know, and I go based off of evidence. Where's your evidence of this? I need to see at least some evidence of this. If it's so easy for you to prove, you should be able to pull up at least some evidence somewhere, at least an instance of it. Now, this was before I was fucking red-pilled. And I got sent up to the principal's office for insubordination for asking for proof of a claim that a teacher was making. Now, I want you to let that settle in. I was questioning whether or not someone could prove the claim that they were making. And that was insubordination worthy of punishment. Now, if that does not terrify anyone, then you need to get your fucking head checked. The reason why I say that is because the best way of sitting there and asking who is in power, who the authoritarian is to ask who you are not allowed to criticize. Well, right now, criticizing teachers for some reason is, in the words of Islam, haram. It's not okay. It's unclean. It's something you just don't fucking do. I say fuck that. I say question these teachers on every last fucking thing. And I'm not just talking about the kids. I'm also talking about the parents. If anyone here has a fucking kid and your kid is bringing home homework and you're looking at that homework and you are disagreeing with it, don't say, well, just do it. You don't want to get in trouble. Back your fucking kids, because the thing is it is up to you as the parent to mold your child's mind, to give your child the tools to succeed. Because it's no longer the education system that does that. You know what the education gears your child towards? Being a mindless drone, being a mindless consumer. And this is coming from someone who is not blatantly anti-government. All right? I'm not one of those people. I'm not like high impact films or anything like that. All right? I'm one of those people that sits there and looks at it, and I think, yeah, the government has its hands in a little bit too much. And the areas where it has its hands in aren't the areas where its hands need to be. So not only is it putting its hands in too deep, but it's putting its hands too deep into the wrong hole. Ask anyone who's gone into prison, they'll tell you how bad that is. But when you sit there and you tell someone your reason for thinking the way that you do, and if you have those examples that you can pull up and that sort of thing, and they just kind of brush it off and they say, oh, well, those are invalid because I said so, that person is not worthy of you listening to. That person is not worthy of your fucking time. I mean, if you're in a debate or something like that, use that against them for sure. But if you're in a regular social situation, walk away. Don't sit there and get into an argument with them, because they're going to sit there and they're going to say the same fucking thing over and over and over again. And I guarantee you they have it rehearsed much better than you. Hey, Joey, I play tug of war with myself all the time and I win. So, you know, I mean, that's fucking awesome. But the thing is I am getting so sick and tired of telling people, you know, showing them time and time again, example after example after example, study after study after study, statistic after statistic after statistic, and them going, well, I wonder why that is. So, like, the statistic shows you why it is. The study shows you why it is. It's right the fuck there in front of you. Stop. Just stop yourself. I love how people will pop onto my channel to leave a dislike and then pop right off again. I absolutely love that. That's funny as shit. I got so many fucking haters. But anywho, although I guess they're taking a break, because typically by now my video would have like 3 dislikes on it already. But the thing is when you actually go ahead and you look at it, you have to ask yourself, in every single confrontation you get into, and I'm going to call these confrontations because they are, it is a conflict of ideas. Any conflict that you get into, any confrontation that you get into with someone, you have to ask yourself this very important question. Is this person worth it? Do their ideas merit enough weight for me to bring my full power to bear on this? If the answer is no, then if you're going to do it for fun, then by all means do it for fun. But there are some people out there that just won't be convinced. And I'm saying that about both sides. You know, there's some MGTOWs that won't be convinced of anything. And then there's some feminists that won't be convinced of anything. You're going to have skeptics that won't be convinced of anything. You've got all that sort of shit. Every community has those people. Everyone has those zealots in their communities. However, when you are debating someone, make sure to stick to the facts. Don't sit there and try to go to hyperbole or anything like that, even if they're doing so. Because if you can stick to the facts, and even with them doing their hyperbole and their mental gymnastics, at that point, once they start doing mental gymnastics, you can blow holes into their argument so fucking easily. And teachers absolutely hate that, going back to the whole public education system thing. Teachers absolutely hate it. And I'm not saying all teachers do. There are some teachers out there that literally want discourse, that actually want that conflict of ideas, want the kids to have their own ideas. That's cool. Those are awesome teachers. Those are the teachers that I hope that my child has going up through school. But unfortunately, they are becoming a rarity. I think that it's interesting that we hear of all this talk of diversity this, diversity that. Oh, we need to make sure that there's equal representation here. We need to make sure that there's equal representation there. Yet, they're talking about diversity and equal representation based off of racist, sexist, so on and so forth views. They're not talking about diversity of ideas, diversity of beliefs. They're not talking about that. If they're talking about diversity of belief, then that translates to, oh, we need more Muslim. That's basically what it is at this point. And it really fucking sucks, because the thing is I actually used to be liberal-minded. Like, I used to be able to be described as a liberal. But now I'm described as fucking alt-right. And guess what? My views haven't changed. So if my views haven't changed, yet my label fucking changed, according to society, then does that mean that I changed? Does that mean that I got jaded in my older years? No, it didn't. It means that society has fucking changed, and that society is falling heavily to the fucking left. If I'm considered fucking alt-right. Now, I'm not saying that every opinion that I have or every thought that I have is correct or above reproach. I'm not saying that. In fact, I don't say that about any of my beliefs. I don't say that about any of my opinions. You are free to disagree with me if you want on my opinions, but what you aren't free to do is disagree with fucking facts. You can't just discount a fucking fact because you don't like the implication, or because it makes you feel uncomfortable, or because it gives you a bad feeling. If you start doing that, then you're not worth having a conversation with. Because that means you're not looking for truth. You're not looking to have a conversation. You're not looking to further anything. What you're looking to do is to either morally grandstand, which I think is one of the most disgusting things that you can do as a human being, or you're looking to squash dissent, which again is disgusting. I absolutely hate it when people try to squash dissent. Now, I can understand maybe not talking to someone if they're such a zealot on something that they're literally making no sense. They know that they're not making any sense, but they don't give a shit. Because at that point, trying to argue with someone like that is a waste of your time, and it's a waste of their time. At that point, you just fucking walk away. But it's very rare for me to walk away. I mean, hell, anyone who's watched my channel for any amount of time knows that I will take trolls on head on. But even I have my limits. And I'm not sitting there and saying trolls as in, you know, people that I'm just going to say is a troll because they disagree with me. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about self-professed trolls, people that even admit that they're saying the shit that they are to get a rise out of people. But the reason why I take them on, like I've said in previous videos, I like to keep my claws and fangs sharp. Because if I'm used to arguing against that, then it makes it much less frustrating to argue against true SJWs. And yes, I use the term SJW as a pejorative. Why? Because look at what SJWs have become synonymous with. Look at the actions that happen in these SJW-linked groups. You have violence. You have silencing of people, silencing of dissent, silencing of alternate opinions, silencing of facts. Hell, I think it's funny that they sat there and brought up hate facts, and then people that are sitting there and telling these facts sat there and adopted it. We're all like, yeah, okay, they're hate facts. All right, cool. We'll spew hate facts. And now it just makes it sting all that much worse because now it pisses you the fuck off. Anyone who says that MGTOWs and all that don't have trolls, oh yeah, no, we have trolls. I'm proof positive of that because I'm actually a little bit of a troll myself in some circumstances. You can tell when I'm trolling and when I'm dead serious. You can usually tell in the tone of my voice. That's the reason why I don't like, typing shit out all that often. I don't like getting onto Twitter or anything like that because it's very difficult to tell the tone that I'm coming at it with. And it's kind of hard to tell other people's tone as well. But the thing is the reason why I talk so often on subjects like this, on sitting there and taking on these people that just want to deny statistics because they're inconvenient, but then use shaky statistics that are being questioned by everyone, including their peers, just because it happens to support their view. The reason why I bring this up is because it's becoming more and more prominent. It's becoming a very prevalent thing in society today, and it really fucking sucks. I'm all for a good conversation. I'm all for, having those dissenting ideas. I'm all for people disagreeing with each other on certain things, but then coming to kind of a mutual understanding. It's all like, well, I might not fully agree with what you're saying. I can kind of understand at least how you got there. You don't have to agree with someone to get along with them. I mean, take a look at me and Sin. There's plenty of things that me and him disagree with, but it's very rare for us to actually have a real clash. Why? Because we understand where the other is coming from, because we actually listen to each other. If more people actually listened to each other, if people actually spoke to each other instead of talking at each other, we might actually be able to get some shit done. And it would be a much less painful process. But I just want to go ahead and bring this up. Like I said, this is going to be a shorter stream because there's really not much that can be said on it. And if you want to see what really kind of set this off, I went through and rewatched the video by Raging Golden Eagle. I have it down in the description. I highly recommend that you go ahead and watch it. It, at the very least, is good for a laugh. Now, whether or not it's a depressive laugh or a full-out comedy laugh, well, that's going to come down to the individual and what stage of red pill rage you're in. But the thing is there was one thing in there, and Raging Golden Eagle brought it up. Let's see, what is Joey saying? I can't try to think about it all too much right now. The world is just messed up. Just be positive and grow in your MGTOW. That's all we can do. Enjoy life a bit. Oh, I enjoy life. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. The thing is the way that I enjoy life is very different from how other people enjoy life. A lot of people, you say, oh, you can only enjoy life if, you're surrounded by people and you're going out and you're having these social experiences and blah, 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 blah. I'm an introvert. For me, going out and spending time in large groups of people, no, that's not a good time. That's called stress for me. I'm not agoraphobic, I mean, I don't mind going to the bar every once in a while, get my drink on, and fucking have some stupid fun. But for the most part, I actually prefer to be at home. And and you know, everyone has their own reasons for liking to hang out with people, not liking to hang out with people. With me, it's just typically the larger the group you hang out in, the more bullshit that comes along with it, and the higher chance of something going down and me getting caught up in the middle of it. Now, if I'm guaranteed that I'm not going to get caught up in the middle of it, and I can just sit back, pop some popcorn, and watch the sparks fly, oh yeah, I'll do that. I mean, that's free entertainment. But when it comes down to what I enjoy doing, you know, I like to play video games. Yeah, I actually like to play online video games, and yeah, I'm getting some levels of interaction with people. But one of the reasons why I actually kind of like online interactions with people is because you tend to get a sense of who they really are. Like, a lot of people say, oh, well, you know, people talk big and that sort of thing. Well, yeah, because they don't have the threat of, you know, physical ramification. And so the thing is those little nasty parts of them are going to come out. And I'm not talking about your basic smack talk. I'm talking about the motherfuckers that will sit there, spend the vast majority of their fucking time on a video game, and then fucking, you know, sit there and start targeting one person that doesn't have all that much time to play on it. You know, and for some odd reason, they think that, you know, that makes their balls bigger or something. I don't know. But you get kind of a nicer feel online. And that's one of the reasons why I like the whole online anonymity thing, is because that actually allows people to truly be themselves. Because then they can voice their opinions freely. And I like that. Even if it just so happens that their opinions are either the most retarded opinions out there, or the most sexist opinions out there, or the most hateful opinions out there, I don't care. The reason why I'm for it is because the thing is look at the rest of our lives. You know, the time that's not spent online. We have to constantly we have to constantly worry about, you know, dealing with pissing off the wrong person. We have to constantly deal with, you know, a person coming after our livelihood, or, you know, spreading rumors about us, or something along those lines. You know, so we have to self-censor. Well, the thing is that means the vast majority of the time we're living a fucking lie as it is. Why am I going to sit there and continue living that same lie online? Now, me, I've really, I only slightly censor myself. I basically censor my language when I'm out in public, but I never censor my ideas. One of the reasons why, my group of friends tends to be relatively small. But the cool thing is my group of friends that I have always have your back. They're always straightforward with you. They're not going to sit there and lie to you unless, you know, it's a kind of a big thing. You know, and they're all like, well, I would just rather go ahead and avoid the conflict. But the thing is a lot of people will sit there and say that their opinion is one thing in real life, but then as soon as they get online, it comes out that their opinion is completely 180 degrees opposite. I don't get how people can do that. I truly don't. I tried to censor myself for a while, and the levels of depression and anger that I felt during that time makes the current me look like the most calm, level-headed individual on the planet. I mean, hell, it makes the current me look like fucking Gandhi. All right? And yeah, I know Gandhi was a political... He wasn't a terrorist, but he was he definitely terrified a lot of politicians where he lived. Let's be honest. I mean, if you actually know the history of Gandhi, he was definitely a master of political warfare. Well, socio-political anyway. But anywho, like I was saying, one thing that Raging Golden Eagle covered in his video toward the end was their conclusion. The person that was writing it's conclusion And yes, the person that wrote the article was a woman. But the thing is she was asking young boys why they were kind of going their own way, why they weren't having plans on getting married or starting a family or anything like that. Well, one of the boys gave two very clear examples that would basically turn anyone off of those prospects. And so her question was, well, what went wrong? Why are they not blah, blah, blah? And you know what her solution to that situation is? Brainwashing. We need to teach these kids that it's not all about them, that their instant gratification isn't important, which to a degree, okay, I understand that, yeah, delayed gratification is one of those things that you do have to learn in some respects. But sitting there and teaching them that instant gratification is not something to be considered is equally as damaging as teaching them that instant gratification is the only thing that matters. So here we go. We're in a situation where she's sitting there and saying that we need to teach the youth about effective communication and caring for others, true empathy, blah, 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 blah. While the author, and here's the kind of ironic part of it, is dismissing and ignoring this young man who was effectively communicating his reasons for being leery of women. And she has the audacity to say that we need to teach empathy and communication skills to the youth, while she herself lacks those skills. And she proves it in that same fucking article. Oh, I'm not blaming youth for anything. In fact, the thing is the younger a child is, the more pure they tend to be, because they're running off of their baser instincts. Here's the thing: basic instincts have what I know. I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows that I'm not Joey. But the thing is those basic instincts are there for a reason. It's because they've served us well. Those basic instincts are the reason why we as a species exist. Why we continue to survive and thrive to, quite frankly, stupid proportions. I mean, hell, at this point, the only organisms that are more resilient than us are organisms like ants and cockroaches and shit like that. So, if that's your primary competition, you're doing pretty fucking good. Because ants aren't exactly in danger of being extinct in any way, shape, or form. And the only reason why we don't have the sheer numbers that they do is because we take up so much more space and resources than them on a one-to-one basis. But the thing is we then sit there and try to educate out those instincts out of our youth. And I think that that is a major failing of us as adults. We are doing each generation an increasingly harsh disservice. Thanks, Hairless. I appreciate it. I do seem cool, don't I? I'm fucking awesome. Anywho, honestly, I'm not that fucking vain, guys. I don't have that big of a chip on my shoulder. But we're doing an increasingly damaging disservice to each generation because we're breeding out more and more and more. Well, I can't say we're breeding out, but we're educating out more and more of those instincts that have served us so well over the years. And we're doing it at younger and younger and younger ages. I mean, hell, now in like second grade or first grade classes, they're trying to sit there and push this narrative that heterosexuality is somehow inherently not the default. Here's the thing, nature says, yes, heterosexuality is the default. Now, I've heard some arguments, you know, for and against homosexuality. Quite frankly, I'm all like, you know what? You're your own person. You want to stick your dick into another guy's ass? As long as the other guy's willing, go for it. You want to take another guy's dick into your ass? Go for it. I ain't gonna fucking judge. If you're a woman and you like the taste of pussy, great. We got something in common. But the thing is, you have to take nature into consideration when educating. And the thing is that's something that we failed at, and we're failing at increasing levels at it, because we've got so many people now in the education field that just really don't want to admit that nature actually has a fucking say in our actions. And that's not a nihilistic standpoint. That means, yeah, there are some base things that are there. Do some people transcend that? Yes, of course. You're always going to have the outlier. Nothing is ever an absolute. But I don't care how deep you dive into quantum mechanics or psychology or anything like that. We have these patterns of behavior that have been going throughout the fucking years, and they have been slowly educated out of us at increasingly younger ages once education became a common thing. Like, you can look back, you want to go ahead and see human nature in its rawest fucking form, look back to the fucking Dark Ages. There you go. I mean, other than, like, you know, cavemen. But look at the Dark Ages. Look at the common practices there. What's the most common thing that you fucking see? Primary concerns being shelter, food, sex, and safety. Not necessarily in that order. Then after that comes wealthiness and power. Well, now people are sitting there and trying to reverse that. They're trying to bring wealthiness and power before those basic uses, before those basic instincts, before those basic needs are being met. And we've now gotten to a situation where there's so much separation between people that empathy is struggling to even exist. And honestly, anyone who has empathy is actually in the minority nowadays. Very few people have true empathy. Very few people, because people always try to confuse empathy and sympathy. Sympathy means it means you've been in that situation, you know how it feels, and so you're sympathizing with the person. Empathy means you've never been in that situation, but you are taking yourself out of your own head and putting yourself into their mindset, trying to experience the world as they experience it. And that is something that we as a society have really lost the ability to do. And it sucks. And I honestly think that's where we're damaging our society the most. And the thing is this all ties in to the article that Raging Golden Eagle covered. And I think it's time to look back on that article. Yeah, it wasn't too incredibly long ago. But the thing is it explains a lot of what's going wrong. And ironically, one of the questions in there is what went wrong or what is going wrong. I forget exactly what the article says. I don't want to be accused of misquoting. But it's why? Like, why can we not sit there and go, all right, well, if that's been your experience, I can kind of understand where you're coming from. I may not agree with it. I may not think that it's indicative of society, or I might not think that it's the most common thing. But also at the same time, if that's the only experiences that someone's had, then maybe, just maybe, you should stop and consider how that might skew their fucking view. But the thing is the experiences that boy had, he got the two worst experiences. Not himself personally, but by showing empathy to the male figures in his life. His uncle, who had been married to his wife for 40 fucking years, she decided, you know what? I'm no longer in love with you. Upped and left, got the house, got the cars, got the vast majority of the money, ruined his uncle. And then the brother, he watched his brother go through false allegations, his name being dragged through the mud. And then after it was all said and done, the woman got to walk away scot-free, nothing done to her, no punishment, no negatives. Now, if a boy has seen that happen to two prominent male figures in his life, what's he supposed to fucking think? And then we have the internet. Guess what? Big shocker, kids know how to use the internet. They know how to use the internet better than most adults. Because they were born in it. The internet is second nature to them. It's like breathing. They just know. And so then the child sits there, sees that experience happen, goes ahead and looks up if there's any others, and then just gets bombarded with case after case after case, study after study after study. All of these facts that are sitting there right in front of him. What, we expect him to fucking ignore that? If we're sitting there and seriously saying that the youth need to ignore facts and just listen and believe, then we as adults are failing. And we are failing horribly. And people will sit there and wonder why. Being called a man-child now isn't as bad of an insult as it used to be. Because the thing is, if you're implying that I have something in common with children, then that means I have fucking common sense. Thank you for the fucking compliment. Who, me? You're saying that I'm a PUA? No. I ain't a fucking PUA, dude. In any way, shape, or form. Never have been, never will be. Okay, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. Okay. But yeah, no, honestly, I do believe that Generation Z will dominate hairless. The reason why is, like you said, they recognize the issues and they're able to actually look at it from more of an objective place. And the thing is that's another thing that we really need to foster in our kids, that we really need to encourage the growth of, and that is actually being able to objectively assess a situation, not just look at it from a position of feeling, because you can feel one thing that's completely fucking wrong. Like for example, the employee that sits there does the bare minimum fucking work at their job, doesn't fucking go out of their way to prove themselves or anything like that, watches the employee who worked the extra shifts, took on the extra projects, so on and so forth, sees them get a fucking promotion to management or whatever. That employee can sit there and all day, every day, feel like they were more deserving of the promotion because they happened to be with the company for longer. But that doesn't make what they're feeling right. And if they were able to look at it objectively, look at what they had done for the company, look what the other person had done for the company, they would see that. And unfortunately, Generation X ain't fucking working. It ain't fucking doing that shit. It's looking at shit from a strictly emotional standpoint. And that's one of the reasons why, if I get, women on my channel that are legitimately asking questions, even if they're maybe asking them from a kind of snarky position, I answer their questions. Because anyone who sits there and shows actual curiosity, wanting to find the truth, I ain't gonna go ahead and fucking turn them away. I can give them my opinion. I can point them to statistics. I can point them to studies. I can point them to other channels that may be a little bit more better sourced than mine. But the thing is, a lot of the stuff that I cover is pretty well-known stuff anyway. It's not hard to find the information. I'm not going to say Google it because, well, anyone who's been watching my channel saw my 2 live streams on Google and YouTube. And so, yeah, I'm not going to say Google it anymore. But people are able to find this information. Hey, Traversable, how's it going? But the thing is we need to stop this whole us versus them mentality. But also at the same time, yeah, recognize the difference in opinions, recognize the difference in ideas, recognize that some ideas are just outright bullshit, that are, if there is no factual basis whatsoever, if there is no logical basis to it and it's just from emotion, more than likely it's a fucking bullshit place to come from. Fair enough, hairless, fair enough. And the thing is, it's the same way. I treat women the same way that I do men. I mean, obviously, there's going to be some small differences, because I can, like, I'll joke differently with women than I do with men. I'll still just be just as fucking crude, but the thing is the subjects and targets of jokes are going to be a little bit different. if you're curious about that, in one of my live streams, me and Dilgaff were joking around with Carly, one of the regulars on the in the chat on our channel. And the thing is, that was all joking around, and people, for some odd reason, thought that that was us being manipulated or white knighting. It's all like, really? We can't interact in a less than aggressive way with a female without it being called white knighting? Really? Especially since Carly agrees with the vast majority of what MGTOW says. I mean, yeah, she's a troll. She'll sit there and she'll fucking stir the pot, but the thing is she's a self-professed troll. But when it comes down to a serious conversation, yeah, she fully fucking agrees. She agrees that women aren't really women anymore nowadays. Yeah, see, Joey, I have to kind of disagree with that, because the thing is not all women are evil all the time. Just like not all guys are good all the time. And I ain't no kid. I may sound it, but the thing is there are some women out there that are actually worth a damn. There are some women out there that are actually women. Yeah, and we can disagree. But the thing is well, I know you weren't talking to me, but I'm just saying, you know, I kind of disagree with the whole you underestimate the evil of women. Like me, I don't underestimate the evil of women, just like I don't underestimate the evil of men. Like, honestly, let's be honest. Guys can grow their devil horns just as well. And the thing is if we're willing to stoop down and use the weaponry of women, Jesus Christ. Because logic and reason behind the weaponry that women use, oh God, that's like upgrading from a pea shooter to a Tsar Bomba nuke. Especially when you're talking about argument tactics. And, you know, Traversable, I can't blame you on your thing with being constantly standoffish with women, because the thing is I mean, honestly, guys, how often are women not standoffish with you? Like, every once in a while, like, if they're not being standoffish with you, it's probably because they want something. But also, at the same time, take a look at guys. You know what I mean? The same can be said of guys. Well, it's not that they don't have any sincerity. It's just that they're following their nature. You know, I mean, they're like men are the hunter gatherers. We had to. But the thing is when I go ahead and people tend to not hate on my channel just because of someone that comes on and comments hairless. Like, it's very fucking rare. The closest that happens there is with Carly. But the thing is like I've said in previous streams, I look at human nature as a whole. I don't just look at female nature. I also look at male nature. And the thing is let's be honest, guys. Let's have an honest moment. We ain't exactly perfect. We got our fucking flaws. But the thing is it's just our flaws are thrown out there and put into the spotlight constantly. So we constantly have to fucking improve ourselves and constantly try to overcome said flaws. That is the difference between men and women. I have just now discovered it on stream. Thank you very much. Because the thing is women's flaws are made excuses for. They are never told that they have to move past them. They are never told that they have to get by them. So guess what? That means they won't improve. And that means that as men get older in age, men are going to continuously have the upper hand. I think that might also kind of attribute to the sexual marketplace value increase in men and the decrease in women. Because, I mean, figure it this way. If a woman was constantly having to work on her personality throughout the years, yeah, she's going to lose out on the neoteny in the sexual marketplace value. But what if her neoteny loss was completely countered out by improvement of personality and mental capacity? I think that the wall would be a little bit less damaging to them at that point. So in another fucking way, gynocentrism is hurting women. Now, to anyone who's new to my channel is looking for the best outcome for everybody. And that means that when I sit there and I talk about things that would benefit women and things that would benefit men. Oddly enough, a lot of the same actions will benefit men and women the same way. Or should I say, it will benefit men and women just in different ways. Like with the example that I brought up before. If women have to consistently work on their personality and get rid of that fucking nastiness that comes along with the double X chromosome, like, let's be honest, I mean, I'm looking at kids here. Little girls tend to be a little bit more vindictive than the boys, but the boys tend to be a little more aggressive than the female children, right? So here's the thing. Men are constantly told we have to work on our aggression. We have to learn to keep it in check, blah, 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 blah. We do this throughout life. Well, some of us do. Some of us don't. But the thing is men are told that they constantly have to work on themselves and improve themselves. Women are told, oh, you're perfect just the way you are. You're beautiful just the way you are. You're not beautiful just the way you are if you are a fat, amorphous blob. If I cannot tell where your tits end and your stomach begins, there's a fucking problem. But the thing is if women were told constantly that they had to work on themselves, you know, be told the fucking truth, and so they were constantly working on their personality and developing said personality, you know, getting themselves up to that same level that men have to get at just for the bare minimum chance of being able to reproduce, then maybe the wall wouldn't be such a terrifying aspect to women. But no. So here we are. We're at a point where we have to sit there and actually assess both men and women. But the thing is society seems incapable of doing so. And I have to agree with you, Hairless. You know, I mean, there are some women that come into chats that are actually very unbiased. You know, they're not coming in an accusatory manner. They're literally asking what's going on. They're trying to figure out what the fuck is going on, because there are more women out there that are sitting there looking at feminism and going, yeah, that sounds like fucking bullshit. And so, but the thing is they have the mainstream media only pushing the feminist narrative, and they're like, yeah, that still sounds like bullshit. And so they're looking for people like, you know, like me or other MGTOWs or even some ex-feminists, you know, the ones that are sitting there going, yeah, no, feminism's a fucking cult. They're looking for channels like this because they want to actually figure out what's going wrong. And I don't think it's a bad thing to let them know. The reason why is because even if it's too late for them, if they go on to have kids and have daughters, then they might actually teach some of that shit to their kids. And we can start reversing the damage that's been done by the lies that have been passed down from generation to generation to generation, thanks to fucking feminism and its man-hating misandrous bullshit. Maybe we can get rid of this fantasy of equality. Because I'm sorry, equality won't ever fucking happen. Human nature fights against equality. We can get close. We can sit there and go, well, you know, you can't sit there and just judge a book by its cover. That's as close to equality as you fucking get. Exactly, Hairless Ape. It's not one of those things that will be a fast fucking change. With this much damage and how deep it runs, it's going to take at least 3 generations to even start to see the results. And you see me, Joey, I'm a MGTOW. I don't think anyone's gonna. Well, I've had a few people argue about me actually being MGTOW before, but they tend to be the more psychotic ones from the manosphere, you know. Oh no, I know it's fantasy to think that it's gonna happen, Joey. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, because the thing is that would require women in general having to admit they might have a couple flaws here and there. Good luck with that. Especially with society sitting there and going, "Oh, don't listen to them. They're just jealous of your superior vagina." Oh no, Joey, I'm not talking about doing the whole gynocentrism thing, getting rid of that. I'm talking about the recent acceleration of it over the last few generations. Well, more than a few generations, because this shit's been going on since well before World War One. I'm talking about, you know, the spreading of lies. I'm talking about basically getting rid of the damage to the young men. That's the kicker. So, anywho, but I might be able to get on later on today and do another stream. But I'm actually going to have to get going pretty soon, so I'm going to wrap this up. The way I'm going to wrap it up is be vigilant. Be willing to go ahead and spread information. Be willing to actually step up and defend that information. And also make sure you're capable of doing so. Don't be afraid of people sitting there and throwing out mean words at you. Because the thing is guess what? We're not snowflakes. Only snowflakes are afraid of fucking words because they melt from the heat of those words. All right? So don't be afraid of fucking words. Words aren't going to fucking hurt you unless it's false rape claims. At which point, like I said, the best social condom is a camera. Use protection in all social interactions. That's just what I say. You know, you can take it as you will. You know, it might just be some fat guy being paranoid on the internet. Or it might be a damn good fucking idea that even the police have caught on to. Me? I was red pilled. I would say I was red pilled a couple of years ago, but it really didn't take effect until last year. That's when I really started actually really paying full attention to it. And it was actually kind of spurred on by experience that I had with a woman that was just, I'm like, there's no way that that can be real. There's no way. That had to be one prolonged fucking dream. Or should I say nightmare? Yeah, my real nickname is Joe Traversable. But yeah, like I was saying, don't be afraid to bring up facts. If people are afraid of facts, then they're afraid of truth. And anyone who's afraid of truth, quite frankly, doesn't deserve to feel secure. Because the thing is if you're afraid of truth, then that means you thrive off of lies. If you thrive off of lies, that means you thrive off of suffering. And I know that those are kind of some strong, harsh words there, but it is the true meaning of life at that point. Because if you're not striving for truth, if you are preferring to live a lie, knowing that it's to the detriment of not only yourself but also to those around you, then at that point you are no better than a non-remorseful drug addict that is willing to do anything for their next fix. Have a good one, Joey. You're welcome on my channel anytime. I'm trying to start to do streams regularly like I used to. I'm just coming back from kind of a little break, so yeah, I'm trying to get back into the swing of things and all that. But I'm gonna have to go. Have yourselves a great day. Talk to y'all later. Peace.